I was at a conference for pastors about 150 miles from my church. I was not out of the conference center gates more than 10 minutes, crossing a narrow rural bridge, and at the end of that bridge, an 18-wheeler was coming down a hill. He came into my lane, hit me head on. I was pronounced dead on the scene.
Somebody actually asked for permission to go and pray for your dead body.
God spoke to him and said, "Pray for the man in the red car." He was praying for two things: that I would live and that I wouldn't have brain damage. He would alternate, verbal prayers, and then he would sing a hymn. And suddenly, I start singing the song with him, Under the Tarp in the Dark.
What were your first moments in heaven? On his way home in 1989, Don Piper's car was hit on by a semi-truck. Emergency personnel responded and pronounced him dead on the scene. A passing minister received permission to enter Don's car and started to pray over his lifeless body. 90 minutes later, Don returned to earth with very vivid memories of God's perfect place, heaven. 34 operations and years of recovery forced Don and his family to find new normal. His story not only has been featured in best-selling books and the movie, but also has been heard around the world in churches and different conferences. And today you get a chance to hear that story for yourself. Be encouraged, stretched, and challenged. Don, thank you for being with me.
What an honor it is to be here, and it's great to see you again.
I know we had an interview already. It was through the Zoom,
Right.
And you had the opportunity yesterday to speak to our church, and thank you for doing that, you and your wife ministering to our church. And let's go to that January of 1989. You're actually coming from church, and what happened on that bridge?
I was at a conference for pastors about 150 miles from my church.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough, my wife was supposed to be with me at this conference, but she was a teacher and she had gotten 10 new students that Monday morning, so she did not go with me, or she would have been in the car. So it was just me. I went to the conference by myself, and the conference ended on Wednesday morning. It was a cold, rainy morning, so I was ready to go home anyway, and so I put everything in the car and headed back to my church south of Houston, Texas. And I was not out of the conference center gates more than 10 minutes, maybe 15, crossing a narrow rural bridge. And at the end of that bridge, I was almost off of it. An 18-wheeler was coming down a hill at a high rate of speed and said he was trying to swerve to miss a car that was in his lane that was driving slowly. He came into my lane, hit me head on, rolled over the top of my car because he was going at such a high rate of speed, pushed up against the railing of the bridge, went off the back, struck two more cars, and finally brought this big rig to a halt. So 4 vehicles on this Trinity River Bridge, and everyone else was okay. No one else was hurt seriously. They were treated and released. I was killed instantly. The paramedics did arrive, of course, and 4 of them, since there were 4 vehicles. So they had a whole gang of these guys, trying to revive me. They were unsuccessful. I was pronounced dead on the scene and covered up with a dark, waterproof tarp so nobody would have to see me in the car. It was very gruesome. And
do you remember quickly dying and going to heaven through a tunnel? I know some people talk about tunnels. Like, what was that experience? Do you remember any of that? How
I don't remember the collision.
Okay.
If I do remember it, God in His infinite grace has removed it from my memory.
Okay.
So I don't remember the collision. I must have seen the truck out of the corner of my eye because I did put my arm up, and that's what really ended up destroying this left arm, is because I put it up. So I must have seen the truck, but I do not remember that. Also, I did not go down a tunnel. I think that happens frequently because I've talked to many people who have had the experience, and it's because we're reducing here, we're fleeing here, and we're going there, and it's a process. The angels are carrying us. But for me, it was 110 miles an hour of impact. It was so instantaneous that I was just standing at the gates. I was just there. So I did not go down a long tunnel. But I do believe that happens to a lot of people because, we use the expression pass away, somebody passed away. And that's what happens to most people. They pass away. They are slowly leaving here and emerging somewhere else. So they do literally pass away. I did not pass away. I was killed instantly. So I was instantly there.
What were your first moments in heaven?
I was looking at my grandfather's face, just face to face. And I had been with him when he died. I was very close to him.
Okay.
I was the oldest grandchild, so I naturally gravitated towards him. He was a carpenter. I was fascinated with his tools and all the things he built. I could take you today to things that he built 60, 70 years ago that are still standing. So I really loved him. And he had a heart attack, and I rode with him in the ambulance to the hospital. I was the one standing outside the door when they said, we're sorry, we did everything we could, but he didn't make it. So I often tell people I have a lot of broken bones in my body, but nothing hurts like a broken heart. When Papa died, it really broke my heart. So here I am standing in front of him. On earth, he was beaten up pretty bad after 60 years of carpentry work, and he was even missing fingers on both hands. And he reached out to me and spoke a language which I've never heard here, but I understood. I think you speak heaven in heaven, and so he was speaking to me, and he said, "Welcome home, Donnie," which was his pet name for me here on earth, and reached out his hands. And of course, the first thing I did was look down at his hands because he was missing those fingers, and it was almost as if to say, "Is this really him?" And all the fingers were there. I had never seen them before in my lifetime. And so I knew it was him. And he embraced me. And then I began to see all these other people that were standing around him. Next door neighbors, my great-grandmother, some friends from high school, both of whom died in tragic accidents. There were aunts, uncles, there were all manner of people that played a different role in my life, but the singular role that they all played was that every one of them helped me get to heaven. It was as if God sent the people to greet me who helped me get there. And it didn't dawn on me until I was in a hospital bed back here as I was going through the faces of those people. Those are the people who helped me get there. She gave me a Bible. She took me to church. He told me about Jesus. I had a friend who was 18 when he died in a car crash. A big, tall, athletic guy who played football and even got a full scholarship to play football in college. He never got to play because he was killed in a car wreck right after school. He's the kind of guy that if I didn't go to church on Sunday, he'd see me in the hall and say, "Why weren't you there?" And
we all know those people.
Yes. And I said, "Well, I had something to do." He says, "I'm picking you up next Sunday. You're going to church with me." Okay, fine. And he did, and he was killed in a car crash. It just devastated all of us, to say the very least. So these were the people who greeted me. I was at home, and I was at home with these people, and it was such a glorious experience.
You always say that heaven is like the greatest family reunion.
Oh, it is. It is. Yeah, it certainly would describe that, and I didn't really have that in mind. But it was a great reunion with those. Miss Norris was there. She was my next door neighbor. My dad was overseas in the Army, and so we didn't have any form of transportation at all. Miss Norris would round up all the neighbor kids. She would drive up and down the street in her old station wagon and ask kids if you wanted to go to God's house. And so we all said, "Sure, we'd like to go to God's house." And she would take us to church, and we loved it, and then bring us back home every Sunday. And Miss Norris was there. Miss Norris, I only lived next door to her about a year and a half, but during that year, she always made sure that all the children in the neighborhood got to go to church. Bless her heart, she was there.
And she was there to meet you.
She was there to meet me, and she deserved to be there.
Wow.
Because she helped me get there. And so, I loved her. I thought she was wonderful. I could just see her, she was, with her with the hair on and the bun on top and her little glasses.
So did people have glasses in heaven? Like
Well,
how
I
did they-
said I could see her
But
here.
how did they look in heaven? Did they look old? They look young?
You know, I fully recognized each one of them for who they were,
Okay.
but they were ageless. I mean, I just knew in heaven who they were.
Okay.
In heaven, I think you know. The Bible says we are known, we will be known as we are known. You know, so I knew them, but I didn't have to be introduced to them. I didn't see anybody I didn't know, not at the gates anyway. I don't think I'd see any. I really honestly don't believe when I get inside that I'll see anybody I don't know there. I think we'll just all know each other. There's no introductions in heaven. I think we know each other. I knew these people, but they were ageless, really. Mike was 18 when he died. I can't say that he looked 18. My grandfather was 70 when he died. He certainly didn't look 70 years old. So age is not an issue there. There's no time there. There's no birth there. There's no death there. So age is not something people talk about. It's just not an issue. We'll be ageless. And, of course, that's what we're all trying to be here on earth, you know. People spend billions of dollars every year
know.
trying to look ageless. You won't have to worry about that in heaven.
All you
You'll
have to
be
do is die.
ageless. Yes. Yes.
And receive Jesus.
And receive Jesus.
Yeah.
And you'll be ageless.
Yeah.
What a prospect is that?
Come on, somebody.
Yes.
So you meet a lot of your relatives, you meet a lot of your family members, your grandfather, and do you then pass through a gate into a city?
They parted. They kind of moved back out of the way as if to say, it's time for you to go in.
Okay.
And then they fell in behind me. Obviously, they were residents of heaven, and so they came out to greet me. People often ask me, it's one of the most frequent questions that I get asked is, does my mother miss me? You know, does my husband, does he think about me? Does he miss me? And the answer is no, not in the conventional sense. The reality of it is everybody in heaven knows who's coming. They all know who's coming.
Wow.
And that's because every time somebody makes a decision here, they celebrate there. We had people make decisions in church. They've been announced. Their names have been written in the Lamb's Book of Life, the registration book of heaven. And so people not only know they're coming, but they celebrate that. So when we leave this earthly bonds and we go to heaven, they know we're coming and they're expecting us. These people were expecting me. And so now they're just going back inside behind me now that they've greeted me. And I think they seem to be as happy that I was there as I was to be there. You know, they were deliriously happy. I could tell by their demeanor, by their embraces, everything. It was just awesome. So they're coming in behind me, and I'm going inside what is essentially a very thick wall.
Okay.
And emerging inside of heaven. And so that's where I headed. Now, I'm surrounded by angels. They're all over the place. And I'm surrounded by music. And even at the gates of heaven, I'm surrounded by a light that is so incredibly bright that it would blind conventional earthly eyes. And so I'm wrapped up in this light. It's reflecting off the gate, which is a gate truly made of pearl. I mean, we treat that description, pearly gates, as almost like it's a myth or something. No, it's not a myth. The gate really is made of pearl, and it's iridescent, and it's quite brilliant. And so I'm going in the gate, the pearly gate, followed by these people, and I'm so excited because in the distance I could see thrones high and lifted up in the center of the city, and it's a great city of God, and I want to go there. That was my destination.
And you mentioned that going through the gates, only one person. It was not a
Yes,
large gate.
very small entrance. To me, even though I knew that, I was very surprised by how really narrow the gate was. It was very narrow, and it was really big enough for one person. But then, as I thought about it over these years, it certainly occurred to me that is how we go in. Is that it is a personal, one-time, one-person decision. And for me, it was when I was 16, and of course I wasn't planning to die when I was 38, but I was ready. But I'm going in, and it's narrow, and the wall is thick, and I'm emerging inside to a place that is really actually beyond description. I've done my best over the years to try to describe it, but it is the most real thing that's ever happened to me.
Talk about the sounds there and the smells.
The smells, I can only say are floral. I could say that they are very exotic smells. In fact, one of the smells that you smell in heaven, I believe, are the smell of prayers emanating from the throne of God. It's almost like an incense coming from the throne of God. So
And you would differentiate that from other smells.
Yes, you can. Just like you can differentiate all the music that's playing.
And you were saying that there were like thousands of songs playing at the same time,
Thousands.
yet it didn't feel like overwhelming.
No, you could hear each one. You could like zoom in on that song because you liked it. And there were anthems, there were choruses, there were praise songs, there were all kinds of instruments and all kinds of music. And so God likes music. It's a universal way of communicating. I mean, I've been in churches in countries overseas, and I'll be there, and I'm the only person who doesn't understand what they're singing. And you know what? It's not for me anyway. It's being offered to God. And so that's kind of what it is, except that I can listen to the kind of music that kind of makes my experience there even more complete. But God listens to all of it because all of it is for Him. Worship is for God. And so the only song that distinguished itself above all songs that I heard, and I heard thousands, was Holy, Holy, Holy. Holy,
Did you
holy,
hear that
holy.
in English, or you heard that in their language, but you understood
I heard it in heaven language.
Okay.
Yeah. Holy, holy, holy. Because He is. And so the angelic hosts are singing that song above all other songs. And so it pervades heaven because God is holy, and it's His place. It is a place. We forget sometimes that Jesus said, I go to prepare a place for you. So it's a real place. It's not a possibility. It's not a maybe. It's actually more real than this place because we know
It's not a
one
dream
day,
state.
No, not at all. We know that this place will not be here one day. I mean, it just won't. Heaven will. It's eternal. And so it's a place, and I've seen the place, and it's more glorious than human words can describe.
Was there a sense of time there?
None. No, in fact, the name of the book is 90 Minutes in Heaven. And the reason for that title is I died at 11:45 a.m., and the man who crawled in the car and prayed over my body was praying at 1:15 p.m., singing a song when I started singing the song with him. So really a more appropriate title for the book would probably be 90 Minutes Away from Earth. Because in heaven, you have no concept of time. I could have been there for 90 hours. I could have been there for 9 minutes. There was just no concept of time. You don't really think about that in heaven. It's a given that you will not have any time. It's just there.
So
forever.
you're there, and you're about to go to see the throne, and then to see Jesus. Did you see Jesus?
Only in the distance.
Okay.
There's a brilliant light from where the thrones are, and it's scattered in all directions. It's just unbelievable. And so I knew that's where He was, high and lifted up on a throne. And so my objective, once I kind of emerged at the inside gate, was to go down the golden street, and there really is one, street made of gold, and kind of mount that hill and go up to the throne and really fall on my face and say, thank you for letting me come. That I was already formulating that in my mind. Thank you for letting me come. And I never got a chance to do that because when I entered the gate, everything stopped.
Why?
I think it wasn't my time.
And you got put back in your.
I got pulled back.
Back in your body.
I found out that that I had things to do here, and it wasn't my plan. I didn't really want to do. I did not want to come back. If you've been there, you don't want to be here. And it's not against anything here. I had a wife and 3 children. I adored them. I loved them beyond.
And you were
words.
38 years of age.
38 years old.
You were
prime
young.
of life.
Yeah.
So I was a pastor. I had to preach next Sunday. You know, I had my messages. I had literally a stack of sermons on the seat beside me. I believe in a great God. I believe in Jesus, the Son of God. I believe in the Holy Spirit. I believe in baptism. I mean, those are the sermons I was planning to preach. I never did get to preach any of those sermons except the one on the top, which is the only one that was saved out of the wreck. And the police saved that. And I preached it like 30 years later. So that sermon had 30 years to bake, you know, to get done. And I did end up preaching. But I didn't preach any of those. In fact, I didn't even dark the doors of my church for months. And then I was in a wheelchair, and then I didn't go for more months because it was premature. I was not ready to go to church.
So right before you're about to go and worship Jesus at his throne, you're seeing him at a distance, you get put back in your body, and you're hearing somebody singing. And this is not heavenly songs now. This is somebody on earth singing a hymn. So what was happening here on earth? Somebody who you didn't meet at that time,
No, I did not.
But you met him later, actually asked for permission to go and pray for your dead body.
God spoke to him.
Okay.
Yes, verbally.
Okay.
As he approached the car, and I was in my little red car, as he approached the car, and of course there's wreckage everywhere because there's 2 more cars and a big truck, God spoke to him and said, pray for the man in the red car. Those were the exact words that he said. And Dick Honorecker, which was the gentleman's name, who's gone to be with Jesus subsequently. In fact, his wife and I, she was with him. She was on the bridge. She saw this entire thing. She said, you know, it's your fault because he prayed for you and you came back and you told him about heaven and then he left us and went there. I said, well, I guess I'll accept responsibility because, you know, we missed him. He was an exceptional human being.
So God tells him to go up to that car and pray for that gentleman that is under that black tarp.
But the policeman wouldn't have it. He said, you could pray all you want to, you just can't get near the car because it's gruesome under there, for one thing. And also there's a lot of twisted metal and broken glass, and we don't want you around that because you may be hurt and they will have to treat you.
Makes sense.
So, you know, this guy was a preacher. I mean, he wasn't really going to take no for an answer, and he didn't. And he began to negotiate, I guess is a good word for it, with this policeman, like, I really need to get in there. God's told me to get in there. I have to get in there. So finally, the policeman gave in, and Dick crawled through it was a hatchback car, and the hatchback was knocked off. So he crawled in through what we would call the trunk because he couldn't get in from the front or the side, and lifted up this tarp the body was covered up with, and he could see that the only thing I didn't break was my right arm. It is the only thing I did not break in the accident. So from the back seat, he stretches out over the front seat where I'm at and puts his hand on my shoulder and begins to pray for me under the tarp in the dark. So he's not even seeing who he's praying for. And I don't think he wanted to see it because I was just torn apart, really.
How long did he pray for you before you started to sing with him?
About an hour and a half. You know, he got in the car pretty quickly. I mean, these people were behind me, so the accident just happened. And so he was behind me. He literally goes up there and says, I need to pray for that guy. And that's when so he got in there pretty quickly. So it was certainly over an hour, but close to an hour and a half. And
was he praying for your resurrection? Was he praying for you to come back?
He was praying for 2 things: that I would live, and that I wouldn't have brain damage.
Wow.
Yeah, because he knew he could see the signs. He knew I had blood coming out of my ears and eyes and nose and mouth. So he knew I had brain damage.
Because people who return from dying, you know, after more than 5 to 10 minutes, there's very high possibility they're in the vegetable state.
Exactly.
So he's praying for you to live, at least seeing that, hey, your body is broken into so many pieces.
Yes.
And then that if you do, when you come back, so for you not to have brain damage. So he prays for you over 90 minutes, and then he started to sing.
Yes. Yes. He was praying verbally, and then I don't know whether he grew weary of that or he was a singer. He was a good singer, which is rare for preachers, I've found out over the years, including this one.
And I can testify.
Including this one here. So he's singing, and he wants to praise God. He wants to offer musical prayers, which is what most hymns are.
Uh-huh.
And so praise songs are musical prayers. And so he decides to sing. And now I don't think "What a Friend in Jesus" was the first song he sang, but he would alternate, verbal prayers. Oh God, I pray for this man, and then he would sing a hymn. So this kind of went back and forth because he was back there quite a while. So he does get to the hymn, "What a Friend We Have in Jesus," which is a great old hymn. It's about 150 years old now. And the lyrics are, "Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. All because we do not carry everything to God in prayer." Those are the lyrics of the song. So it could hardly have been more appropriate. He's singing that song over my dead body, an hour and a half after the wreck has claimed my life. And suddenly I start singing the song with him under the tarp in the dark. And then he continues to try to make me sing because he wants
to stay conscious.
Yes, he wants me to stay conscious. So he does kind of extricate himself from the car, runs over to the last two paramedics that are remaining. There were 8, and now they're all gone except these 2, and their ambulance. It's packed. It's leaving because they're bringing another vehicle to take away the body. I won't even tell you what's euphemistically called by the coroner's office, but it's a station wagon or a van, and they're bringing that to take the body away for an autopsy. And so they're leaving, and he is shocked because he knows I'm alive. So he goes over and says, "Guys, you need to come and check on them. This guy, he's really alive." And they basically looked at each other and said, "No, not only is he not alive, he's been not alive for quite some time. He's very dead." Well, I'm telling you, I heard him sing. That really, like you've heard him sing, really. And so he gets very frustrated with them, and that's when he goes around and stands in front of the ambulance and says, really not just to them, to everybody on the bridge, "If you leave here without that man in the back of your ambulance, I'm going to lie down here on this bridge, and you're going to have to run over me because I'm telling you he is alive." So they kind of talked it over and said, "Well, we'll check on him." And they were really just humoring him. And so they came over and lifted up the tarp and put the hand on the pulse and discovered I was alive. And so they yell, he's alive. And the fire department that's there knows that they have to crack open this car somehow. Removing a living person from a wreckage is very different from removing someone who's not. So they have to have equipment for that. He was not on the scene because I was a fatality. So they have to call for this equipment to be brought out, called the Jaws of Life. It's 30 minutes away. So they finally get the right equipment on the bridge to literally crack open the car, which is what they do. And they had to get, like 8 guys had to get under me and lift me out of that car so pieces wouldn't fall off and put me on a gurney. When they laid me on the gurney and I'm looking straight up, this was a bridge made of girders. It was not a suspension bridge, but it was like one of those old railway trestles. And it was covered with metal. And so I'm looking up at these metal girders crossing each other, and rain is falling on my face. And I'm looking up, and I hear all these voices of all these people. And at that moment, I realized something really bad had happened. And it had happened to me because I was flat on my back. And I remembered, last thing I remember was driving onto the bridge. And now I'm on my back, and I'm looking up at the bridge. And I'm knowing this is bad. But I was in shock, so I had no
Were
pain.
you,
I had
you were not in pain
I
because of
didn't
the
have any
shock?
concept of what was going on. I didn't even know what had happened. I didn't know I had been run over by a truck. So,
And it was only like towards the evening that you actually end up in the hospital.
well, it was 6:15. The accident happened at 11:45 in the morning. So, between all the transfers, between all the examinations, between the distance to get to a level 1 trauma center, which was in Houston, it took 6.5 hours. So I finally arrived at Memorial Hermann Hospital in Houston at 6:15 that evening. And I would be in a hospital bed from then on for 13 months.
So this accident, what happened to your body? How many
Well,
surgeries were you required?
yeah, it was incomprehensible, really. I mean, in some cases, any one of these injuries could have claimed my life. The brain damage is a result of the hitting the side of the car, the being impaled on a steering wheel. This is before airbags, so the steering wheel just went horizontal and went right into my chest. The dashboard, the weight of the truck coming over me, the dashboard collapsed on my legs. My right leg was broken at the knee. My left leg was severed because I must have slid in the seat a little bit. It was severed just above the knee. And when it came down, the weight of the dash, it ejected 4 inches of femur.
Wow.
And we know that the femur is the largest bone in the human body, but it was just disintegrated and went out of the car. It was never found. And this arm, as I mentioned earlier, it was taken into the back seat by the truck running over me, separated at the shoulder, and from here forward was lying on the back seat of the car. So this arm was really twisted off and lying on the back seat of the car. In fact, Dick Honorecker had to reach over this arm to put his hand on my right shoulder. So he was looking down at this arm, which was on the back seat of the car. So horrific injuries, really. I mean, anyone would have bled out in 5 minutes who had these gaping wounds. I mean, they were gaping wounds on the scene, not somewhere at a hospital. These were on the scene. But, Dick was praying for the brain damage. Didn't happen. Didn't have brain damage. By the time I got to the hospital in Houston, I had no signs of brain damage.
Wow.
And it was all a tribute to his prayer. And that's what he was praying for. I mean, he got what he asked for. And the other injuries were going to take years to fix.
Were they saying that you will not be able to walk?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Because there was a 4-inch difference in my left leg, they were really going to take it off. Because the only thing left was some tissue on the bottom of the leg that was attaching it. And that's the only thing that was keeping it alive. And even then, it was like, this is not going to work. I developed within 3 days double pneumonia. I mean, pneumonia in both lungs. And when we study statistics, we know that pneumonia is one of the deadliest things that could take your life in a hospital. People often die of pneumonia, and that's not what brought them in. It's because they're in a prone position. They can't breathe like that, and the lungs begin to fill up, and mine were. So my wife was brought in. She's the hero of this story, and told, we're going to take the leg off because he's got traction on 3 of his 4 limbs that are pulling his limbs, his arm and 2 legs. We can't lift him up. We can't give him breathing treatments. If we can't give him breathing treatments, he's going to die of pneumonia soon. There is an outside chance that we could apply a new technology that has just arrived in the United States from what at that time was the Soviet Union. It was invented in Siberia by a doctor named Elizarov. And it involved, because there's so many ice accidents up there, it involved putting halos of stainless steel around your leg, in this case 4 of them, rods and wires going through the leg, crisscrossing in the middle where the bone is. We will have to break his leg in another place and pull these wires through his leg and stretch the bone where we've broken it. Yeah, a new place. And so that's what they proceeded to do, because she said, yes, I'll try it, because this might save his leg, and it hopefully will save his life, because we can set him up. Well, they put him on there, and they set me up and gave me the breathing treatments. And that began the rest of my life. Now, I did have more infections. I was in an isolation ward sometimes for 3 weeks at a time because of massive infections and all these holes. I mean, there's 30 holes in my leg, and you could see down into them. I mean, it was gruesome, but it worked. You know, this thing worked. They grew about 3.5 inches in the left leg after I wore this for 11 months. They put one on my arm that you have 2 small bones in your forearm, so they can actually transfer that bone tissue from other places in your body.
So how long was this process before you actually started to walk? Was it 2 years?
Close to 2 years.
Yeah. So here you are spending 90 minutes in heaven, coming back only to return to really a hellish experience.
It was a hellish experience.
Yeah. And it wasn't even your choice.
No.
Somebody else prayed for you to be here.
Yes.
And so how did you process all of that?
Somebody else also made the decision to put the devices on. You know? Well, I mean...
Were you mad? Were you mad at that person who was praying for you to come back?
No, I wasn't, because I knew how sincere he was and how dedicated he was to being a man of God. And same thing with my wife. I was not angry. Had I had a choice, I would have simply had the leg removed and got a prosthesis, because I think it would have afforded me a lot more mobility in life. But it wasn't my decision to make. I mean, it was made in another room somewhere at the hospital in 5 minutes. And so they all did the best they could to take care of me.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that more than I could ever have had any animosity towards it. I guess if I was frustrated or angry at anything, it was the condition I came back to. Is that what are you? I actually asked God, what are you trying to teach me through this? Well, why this? Why me? And I concluded that I was glad that it was me and not someone else.
Okay.
I wouldn't have wanted this, literally, I would not have wanted this to happen to anyone else.
Wow.
Because it was that horrific and that painful. But
There was one time you were holding your fist.
I did
God.
get to the point where I was so frustrated with the device on, because it was extraordinarily, I mean, I don't have the words for it, how painful it was, and unwieldy. I mean, people had to come in, nurses had to come in twice a day with long Q-tips, pour hydrogen peroxide down these holes, and stuff it down with Q-tips in all the holes. Every day. They had to clean the pins that were going through me and coming out the other side. It was just unspeakable almost. But I got to the point where I wanted to talk to somebody. I figured if I talk to somebody who'd been through the experience, I'll know what to expect, and I can plan for that. No one. There was no one. I was the first in this country to have the Lizeroff device on. And so even though I knew that, I was praying to God that he would send somebody to comfort me, to encourage me, and to inform me. And I had my fist lifted up early in the morning, obviously in a hospital room by myself. Well, why can't you send somebody here who understands how I feel? Those are my exact words. I just want to talk to somebody who gets it. If I could talk to somebody who gets it. Isn't that that's everyone's prayer, really, no matter what they're going through. Divorce, bankruptcy, separation from someone they love. I mean, why can't you send somebody who understands? I want to talk to somebody who gets it, because everyone's nice to me. They even tell me they're praying for me, and I know they are. But I want a concrete person to look at me and say, let me tell you how to get through this. And I couldn't find anybody like that, because it's a simple reason. There wasn't. I knew God could produce someone like that if he chose to. And so I'm blessing God with my fist. And he speaks to me, and I've heard God speak twice. Once is when I got back to church the first time, and they were clapping, and I was very frustrated. They were clapping because I was in bad condition, and I didn't have anything to do with my recovery, and they were clapping, and so I'm talking to God on the way up to the front of the church because they want me to say something, and I don't want to say anything. I'm very emotional. I don't want to say anything. And I'm talking to God, and I'm saying, if they knew how little I had to do with this being here, they wouldn't be clapping for me. Mm-hmm. And he speaks to me, and he says, they're not clapping for you. They're clapping for me. Oh. They're clapping for me. And I'm telling you, a smile broke out on my face because I was off the hook.
Yeah, it's not about you.
Yeah, I said, they're not clapping for me. So, hallelujah.
But in the hospital, what did he say in the hospital?
He said, this is not about you.
Wow.
It's about me and what I can now do through you that I can never do before the truck hit you. Mm-hmm. You need to get over your pity party, specifically. Get over your pity party and take the fist that you're shaking at me and use that hand to reach out to other people who are going through a long, dark night. Mm-hmm. That's his exact words. Going through a long, dark night and lift them up. Mm-hmm. That'll be your job from now on. And so I started crying, which I wasn't used to doing. Mm-hmm. And I literally wept until the sun came up. The sun was coming up outside the window, and it was the beginning of the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. Wow. Life changed. Mm-hmm. From then
so it's not something that you lived your life with a dream, visiting a heaven, writing a best-selling book, having a movie made. Here you are, you're a pastor, you have a beautiful family, you're driving to church.
Yes.
And 38 years of age, you have a whole life in front of you, and you get this accident. You're in heaven, you want to stay in heaven because everybody does who meets Jesus. And then if you ever do come back, you definitely don't want to come back to this kind of a situation. Somebody believes because God tells them to pray for you.
Yes.
They pray you through, they worship, and Jesus lets you come back. And in one sense, it's a great miracle that you don't have brain damage. I mean, that's a supernatural. This doesn't happen.
It is.
In the other sense, you have to go through hell.
Yes.
And there's God's grace every step of the way. So it's like God does the miracle, but not necessarily a miracle where you come back to a perfect body. You're coming back to a broken body. You have to go through excruciating pain, which is also, your wife is carrying the load of the family. She's carrying the load for you. And of course, it's normal to feel all those feelings and how God encountered you and said, hey, I'm going to be using you for my glory, for my purpose. It's not about you. You're coming in. People are clapping because, they see you as this person who overcame, but in reality, you feel like I had nothing to do with it.
I did.
The doctors worked on it. My wife was the one that supported me, and this other gentleman is the one that prayed for me and stuff. So, and God speaks to you again and says, it's for my glory. I'm the one that they're clapping for. How has your life been since that time? You didn't want to talk about heaven at first. You didn't want to talk about your experience at first. I mean, other people would have see this as let's launch a podcast, let's launch a ministry, and you actually didn't want to do anything with it.
I didn't. I just wanted to be a pastor. I wanted to preach. I wanted to continue as I had been before the truck hit me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have a choice. Within 2 years of the accident, I was at home in a hospital bed at home. Mm-hmm. They brought all the equipment from the hospital room to home, which is the only reason that's the only way they would let me go home, is to have all that equipment standing by. So I went home, and one of my very best friends came to visit me unexpectedly. I did not know he was coming, and so he came, and he was a hugger. See, he hugs me in bed. He's so happy to see me. And he was also a very emotional person. And so he sat down beside the bed. He's down here, and I'm up in the bed. And he's just making small talk. And then he says, "You look good." And I laughed in his face. I thought, compared to what? I mean, I look terrible, really. I mean, I lost 60 pounds. Mm-hmm. I was skin and bones. I did not look good. But he was so sweet. You look good. And I laughed, and he said, "No, you do." I said, okay. He said, no, compared to the way I saw you the night they brought you in, or they brought you in, you look 1,000 times better.
Wow.
And so I felt a little bad about the laugh because he meant that, you know, and he was an eyewitness, so he knew. And so I said, well, I feel better, but if you'd seen what I saw, you'd know that this is not good. I just said it, you know, and he was the kind of friend that I could say anything, you know, and if I said, don't tell anybody that, he wouldn't have. And I said, and I just realized I kind of let the cat out of the bag, and he said, really? What did you see?
So up to this point, you didn't tell anybody?
Not a soul.
Even your wife?
No.
Wow.
And I that was, in a sense, accidental. I wasn't really planning, but I knew I could talk to him. And so I said, and he says, what did you see? I said, I can't talk about it. He says, you can tell me. You know I won't tell anybody if you don't want me to. I said, I know. So I took a breath, and I began to describe some of the things we've just talked about. He began to cry. And he said, I knew you must have seen something because of how you acted when you came back. You were so solemn and so, you know, kind of, your mind was somewhere else. I said, yes, my mind has been somewhere else. So then he asked the question, why haven't you told anybody about this? And I didn't have an answer for that. I think I offered some, but none of them were good reasons. And he said, you need to tell somebody. Have you told Eva? No, I haven't told her. You need to tell. Here's what you need to do. He's a pastor. He said, you need to tell 3 people. And if you get the same reaction from them you got from me, like, why didn't you tell me about this? Why people are going to be blessed if you talk about this. Then you'll know you need to tell people. I said, okay, I'll try. He said, no, don't try. Do it. So I told Eva. And her response is like it was in the movie. It was like, I knew you were somewhere else. I knew that you were distant. Your mind was captured by something else. And I knew it. And her response was kind of joy because now she knew the reasons. She figured out why I had acted the way that I did. So she was blessed by it. So I told a third person who was best friends with me and the guy that I had told originally. The 3 of us were like tight. So I told him, his name was Cliff, and Cliff said the same thing. Why haven't you told anybody about this? And Eva said the same. So I thought, well, I promised him that if the other 2 people said, why haven't you told anybody about this, I have to tell people about this. So I did, and it was an avalanche. It was everywhere I went, word had gotten to them. Asked Don about heaven, and it just went ballistic. I mean, it just went crazy. Well, it captured my life. I didn't have a life other than talking about heaven, which is a good life, but it's also not what I planned. Well, once again, it didn't matter what I planned. I mean, it just didn't matter what I planned. It wasn't God's plan. And so ultimately, and it took years to do it, I wrote the book. And I figured that would be the end of it. I could point to the book and say, it's in the book. That didn't even come close. The book only opened up other things. So I started getting sometimes 10, 12 invitations a week to go somewhere and speak. Now, remember, I'm pastoring a church. And ultimately, we talked about it. We prayed about it, Eva and I. And her response was, when we looked up from prayer, if God wants you to have a church, he'll give you a church. You need to go do this. You need to answer these invitations because these people want to know about heaven and how to get there. And they want to know about how to get over tragedy and horrible things. I mean, how do you emerge as a new normal in that experience? How do you do that? And so I started accepting invitations to speak, and it went crazy. 2 years in a row, I had over 1,000 invitations to speak. And of course, that is humanly impossible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just impossible. So I did the best I could with what I had, and
Did the book become New York bestseller right away?
it trickled. Originally, it just started selling locally. It kind of trickled out, and then word of mouth kind of caught up with it. Then I started doing talk shows. I started doing Fox and Friends. I started doing the Today Show. I started doing Nightline on ABC.
Oh, wow.
I started doing those kinds of shows, and it just went crazy. I mean, at one time, we sold 500,000 books in 2 weeks. And then it started, they couldn't keep it in the warehouse. As fast as they would print it, and it would come in one door to the warehouse, it would go out the other door. So over a period of a couple of years, it sold like 3 million copies in 2 years. Wow. And it remains on bookshelves in the usual suspects. It has become, for lack of a better description, kind of a classic book.
On heaven.
It was the first book and it was preceded by an avalanche of people suddenly went to heaven and came back. It was the first book to be published like that. And Publishers Weekly said it was an iconic book. It started this interest in all things heaven, and it did. And so it's very humbling to have a book like that.
Then came the movie.
Well, the movie came about as slow as the book because we had all kinds of offers to make a movie that was not the movie. It was a pale imitation of what actually happened. And I mean, we had one production company in Hollywood who remained nameless, who actually wanted me to have, after I got out of the hospital, I had an affair with somebody who had a device on like me. I got addicted to drugs. I mean, this was the manuscript. We read it, and they were like, "What do you think?" And we told them what we thought. And obviously, we did not produce it with that company. So we had to find a company who said, "We'll produce it the way it happened." The way it happened.
Without all the Hollywood spins.
Exactly. So we found that company in 2013, 2014. And we made the movie and released it in 2015. So it's been out for over 10 years. And it is an accurate presentation of exactly what happened. I mean, you've got the man who came and sat by my bed and said, why haven't you told anybody? I mean, it's all in there. And that's why we don't watch it. It's just too close to home. It's in some parts of it.
Were you involved
painful.
in the editing process or in the
I sat
direction?
there on the sidelines. I probably watched the filming of 90% of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and we changed scenes. There's a scene in there where my father comes to see me, and he said, "I'd do anything to trade places with you." Very powerful statement from my kind of reserved dad. And they wrote a nice scene, but it didn't do that. So we had to redid the scene. And he learned his lines, and he came in and did it that way. So, yes, we were there. In fact, the whole family was there for some portion of the filming of the movie. They brought in everybody, all my kids, everybody. Even some grandkids were on the scene. So they tried to do their very best to make it authentic, and we feel good about it. We feel good about how authentic it is. And they selected some pretty high-profile people to be in the movie, very famous people. So they did everything they could to make it a good movie and a commercial movie. And so it's still playing. It's on
Don,
platforms.
One day, you're going to return back to the pearly gates.
Yes.
What do you want your legacy to be here on earth or people to remember you for?
2 things. Getting people into heaven and helping them have a better trip on the way. Those 2 things. I live for those. Getting people into heaven, helping them have a better trip on the way. Because so many people, I don't have to tell you, Pastor, are hurting. for a variety of reasons. There's almost as many reasons as there are people.
Yeah.
But they want to know, how do I get through this? How do I make a difference? And I think the difference is taking the same hand that you're shaking at God for what you're going through, and reaching out to other people and saying, I went through a bankruptcy once, and maybe together we can get through this. I feel that's the way that you do that, is that you put your arm around somebody and say, I lost my wife, and I know you lost your wife. Let me help you. Let's get through this.
So the way we process our own pain is by serving someone else.
I think it has a huge amount to do with it. I really do.
Would you look at that camera right now and talk to somebody who doesn't know Jesus yet? And you mentioned yesterday in our service that heaven is taking reservations. Would you Would you give that call to salvation and lead them right there to know Jesus?
I will. You and I know that you're going through some things. I mean, you know what they are. I don't know, but God does. And I want to encourage you, not to freeze up, not to get angry. I want to encourage you to turn to God, because He has the answers to your problems, and He wants to answer your problems. He wants to bless you. Trust me, He wants to bless you, but you're going to have to let Him do it. And I want to say this to you: if you've never made a profession of faith in God and acknowledged Him, and I don't mean just say, "Hey, God, I know you're there." I'm talking about having a personal relationship with His Son, Jesus Christ. Because Jesus came to die for you. You say, well, why? Why would that happen? Why would He have to die for me? Because sin leads to death. The Bible actually says the wages of sin is death. So we're all born to die. I mean, it's inevitable. I often say the death rate here is 100%. And it is. You're going to die. But what happens after you do? So here's an opportunity to have a better life now and be prepared for life after death. That's what this is all about. And the answer to both of those things is Jesus. Jesus. Life after death, a better life now. So what you need to do is ask Him into your heart. He wants to save you from sin, because sin is going to kill you. It does all of us. So He wants to save you from that. And I know that sounds like, wow, why would He do that? Because He loves you. God loves you. He made you. And He wants you to be with Him someday. Jesus accomplishes all of that. So here's what you need to do. Watching right now, stop whatever you're doing. And you need to bow your head, bow your heart, and just say to Him, I know I'm a sinner. I'm not living the life that I should be living. I know that. And I'm not only sorry for it, I would like to change. I do. Beginning now, I'd like to change. And ask Jesus to come into your heart and change you. He wants to do that. He loves you. God loves you. And that's why He sent His Son. So just say, forgive me of my sins. Come into my heart. Cleanse my heart. Wash away my sins. And then be my guide. I want to live for you from now on. And He will guide you. He will shine a light on your path so that you'll know which way to go. The Bible says if you ask Jesus to save you, the angels will sing right now in heaven. They'll sing your name. There's a book up there that they'll write your name in the book, and they'll be expecting you when your time comes. I pray you'll live for decades, but you may not. But you know what? If you prayed that prayer, you're ready now. You're ready for a better life and for God to guide you in this life, and you're ready for a better life when you take your last breath here. You'll take your next breath there. How about that? I'm so excited for you. We are excited for you. And we'll see you in heaven. We will. God, I often sign my books, see you at the gate. And so I'll look at you right now and tell you, I'll see you at the gate. God bless you.
Thank you for watching this video. Since 2020, our ministry has reached over 280 million people online. We've released over 82 resources in 18 languages and have about 160,000 students in our school, and we distribute thousands of books, even into prisons and closed nations. But that's just half of the story. We're building homes for vulnerable kids in Brazil, supplying food and hygiene in Myanmar, helping refugees in Ukraine, and partnering with missionaries in some of the most dangerous places on earth. If this ministry has blessed you, I want to invite you to partner with us, monthly or one time. You can keep making this eternal impact. Let's reach more, serve more, and love deeper. Would you join us today to reach more people for Jesus by being a partner of this ministry? And you can do that by going to pastorvlad.org/partner.